Hey everyone, this is Alyssa Winters,
And Marlena Wagner.
and we are doing our final presentation on the EL newcomer experience in the classroom. So we are both ESL certification students for Millersville. We decided that we wanted to find books for this project on the ESL experience in the classroom. So we compiled a huge list of books, and by the end of that, we had probably 20 or 30 books on our list, and we started kind of weeding through those to see if we could come up with a narrower focus. So we coded some different things with the different themes that we saw with the first day of school, or names was a theme that came up. We ended up eliminating books that were about refugee experiences and immigration. We decided to just go with the newcomer experience and the EL's beginning days of school. We also focused on picture books, so any novels and chapter books that came up in the list were eliminated.
And then we also checked to make sure that most books were award-winning books or had some other reviews that put them in a higher standard than some of the other books that we looked at. So as you can see from this list, almost all of our books had some type of award or honor, and that was really interesting to see.
So we'll talk a little bit about our different books and why they fit with our categories.
So the first book that we looked at was actually a suggestion from Dr. Calabucci, and it's called Gibberish. And this book is about dad and his mom, and they moved to a new country. And at the beginning of the book, his mom explains to him that everything is kind of going to sound like gibberish to him. And so it goes throughout the book with his experiences on the first day of school. And the illustrator actually kind of brings this book to life by showing like what he's hearing by drawing speech bubbles with different like characters and cartoons in it. And I felt like this was just a great way to really like bring the auditory experience to life of an ESL student, because it really shows like not just what he's hearing, but like how he's hearing it. And young kids reading this book can easily see like what he is experiencing in the book.
Our next book was Sumi's First Day of School Ever. So this is about a story. This is a story about Sumi and her mom. Her mom is prepping her to know what to say when people ask her name, and they're practicing that over and over before she actually starts school. It goes through Sumi's first day of school, then in her new setting, and just how scary it can be and how uncomfortable, and just not knowing how to interact with different people if they were being mean. But then she's outside playing at recess and is drawing in the dirt, and a girl asks her what her name is, and she was prepared for that answer. So she was able to give her her name, and then that friend kind of helped her assimilate into school now that they had that shared interest of drawing as well. So this fit with our collection just because it is about that first day, the newcomer experience, the language barrier. I really like this book because it validated a lot of the emotions and feelings that a newcomer might have on their first day. So yeah, it's a good fit.
The next book is The Name Jar, and this is kind of just like a classic ESL book, but I just feel like I've always loved it, and I read it to my kids every year. So this story is about a girl named Eunhae, and she moves to the United States from Korea, and her grandmother gives her this little wooden stamper before she leaves that has her name on it, and in Korea, their names are just like one symbol all fit together. And so when she then goes to school for the first day, all of the kids pronounce her name wrong. And she goes into the classroom for the first time, and the teacher asks her, "What's your name?" And she looks out at everybody and she's like, "Oh, I haven't picked one yet." So then throughout the book, all of the kids put a name in the jar that they think would fit her. And then by the end of the book, she realizes that the best name for her is her own. And I felt like this really fit really good with our theme because it shows like how significant a name can be to someone's identity. And I just thought this was also a great piece for young kids.
The next one is called The Upside Down Boy. This is about a little bit older of a boy, but it's still written in the picture book style. So this details Juanito's experience from when he moved and his first day of school specifically, but then a little bit more of his schooling experience as well. And the title comes from Juanito just feeling there's a phrase in there where he says, I feel funny, I feel like I'm upside down. I mean, he doesn't feel like himself because he is still learning the language and isn't able to fit in to school like he wanted to. You can see his intelligence on one side, but that the language is a barrier to being able to show that to others. So eventually there's a teacher in this story that realizes he has a lot of musical talent and helps him find his voice. And then that is how he's kind of able to develop his language. But this book was awesome because it showed very clearly his different emotions and the frustrations. He would go back and talk to his family about those things as well. So it kind of showed each of those things, especially on the first day of school. I thought that this story would be helpful for ELs, but it could also be really helpful for other students as well, because there is a little bit more advanced language in this book.
The next book on our list is My Name is Yoon, and this is also about a little girl who moves from Korea. And similar to the name jar, you know, she goes to school on her first day and she is worried about writing her name. So when the teacher puts the word cat up on the board, she starts writing her name as cat for everything. And then she continues to do this with other words like cupcake. And then again, by the end of the book, she realizes that she wants her own name back. And it's kind of this whole moment with her teacher where her teacher is like, you know, your name is the best name for you. And obviously this also fit really well with our theme because it's the first day of school for her and it shows what her experience is like. And this book is more geared toward like a younger crowd, as in like probably first like K or 1, just because like the words in the book are a lot more simple and the girl in the book looks a lot younger than some of the other books that we have in our little collection.
The next book is That's Not My Name. So Mirha starts school, and she's really frustrated because other people can't pronounce her name. She introduces herself as Mirha, and people keep getting it wrong. So she is kind of boiling inside that no one is getting it right. And she finally goes home and has a conversation with her mom. Her mom helps explain the meaning of her name and what to say in those situations to other people. And then she's able to go back to school and explain that. And the end of the book also has that she was able to be that for other people, where she was kind of advocating that everyone knew how to pronounce everyone's name and she could pronounce other people's names that might be unique as well. I thought this would be helpful to have either for ELs or just in a general classroom library, again, for the importance of the identity piece of a name, but also for welcoming new students with different harder to pronounce names or from different cultures. And I really enjoyed this one as well for their dealing with emotions and empathy and just kind of working through how Mirha's feeling. And then again, it's about her first day of school. So that fits with our collection as well.
Another really good book that we found is called Aurelie is a Dreamer. And this book is about a little girl who grows up in Mexico and her parents have already immigrated to the United States, and then her brother goes over, and then eventually she goes as well, and they all live in New York City. And I just liked that this book specifically showed like the migration from Mexico to New York City, and it showed kind of like what that was like, and then it still goes through her first day of school. And on her first day of school, she hears other kids whispering about how she's an illegal immigrant. So then she goes home and she asks her mom, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And her mom kind of explains it to her a little bit. And coming from a little kid's perspective, she doesn't understand why, you know, just a child like her, why that would be illegal. And I felt like that was a really unique perspective on it because children, you know, are still kind of conceptualizing right from wrong. And for a little girl to be told that she's an illegal immigrant would probably have a really big impact. But then the story goes on to until she's in 5th grade and they take a trip to Ellis Island. And then at the end of the book, Aurelie is thinking of all of the people who came before her and all of the things that she can do now that she is living in America. And I just liked that this book, you know, it still showed the newcomer experience on the first day of school, but it also went like above and beyond and went a little bit further into like, well, what's it like after their first day and what's it like before their first day? So I just like that this book kind of told the story of like the before and after as well.
And then our next book is El Cucuy. And it's a story about, it's El Cucuy is scared too. And so that is a traditional Mexican folklore for the boogeyman. And this book is a little bit more unique than some of the other ones where it was a narrative, but this is going back and forth between Ramon and this boogeyman character. And they're just talking about how they are scared of different things, and they used to, the boogeyman used to scare Ramon and all of the different settings where he was, but then they've moved now and they've overcome all of those things, and they're processing through Ramon's emotions about going to school for the first time and just being in a new place. And it's just a cute story where it ends with them like, oh, we've overcome all of these things already. We can do new things as well. So I enjoyed this one because it included some Spanish words and phrases, dealt with the fears and emotions leading up to being in school rather than just the experience on the first day. So this one might have a narrower audience that it would work for, just with the cultural element of this specifically being Mexican folklore, but it fit for our first day of school and those emotions. So that is all of our books in our collection. We're excited to hear everyone's feedback and look forward to other presentations as well.
Bye.